Hi there, it's Carl Irwin, the Con Magician, and this is another video. Some ideas that I've been kicking around for a project that I'm working on. Again, I share very freely all of the concepts that I work on the channel here, and then I put these ideas together for a product that eventually I release, if that ever happens. I don't know, but I'm going to share this with you. Got a deck of cards, and you're going to want to do this with several spectators. So you need to have like 3 or 4 spectators. Have someone shuffle the cards, so someone's shuffling, and you ask them to think of and name any card that comes to mind, any one at all, and they might say something like the 5 of hearts. And once they're done shuffling, you take the cards back, say thank you very much. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spread the cards and have somebody else point to any card that they want to from inside the spread. So they might point to the 3 of clubs. And once they've done that, you just demonstrate the cards are fair, right? This is a borrowed deck of cards. They could have chosen any. In fact, they can change their mind if they want to. Give them that opportunity. But they went to the 3 of clubs. So you have one card that was thought of, one that was touched in the deck openly. And then we're going to do one more selection. This time what we're going to do is going to have everybody shuffle the cards. So we'll just break this up into a few different small packets to have shuffled. And what we'll do is we'll have everybody shuffle their packet. So shuffle, 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 shuffle. Again, you would want to do this with several people, so probably 3 or 4 at least, maybe 5 or 6 even. And as they're shuffling the cards, just making sure that everything is mixed up, you ask one person to take their packet and shuffle it, and then peek. When they're done shuffling, just open it up and peek at a card from the middle. Some card in the middle, and just remember that value. So they take a look and they peek, and you've got the situation now where everything's been mixed up. And we go from here. What we're going to do now is mysterious. It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. Okay, we're going to see if we can find all of this information that we've chosen freely, and try to do it in a mysterious way. So what we want to do, we'll give the cards one more good shuffle here. What we want to do is we want to have somebody just verify that everything is mixed. Go ahead and cut the deck. Very good, and we'll hold that. Remember, one person has thought of a card. They named it out loud, 5 of hearts. One person pointed to a card from the spread, from a shuffled deck, one that's borrowed. Not gimmicked. There's nothing gimmicked about this. It's been handled by everybody. That one was the 3 of clubs, as I remember. And then one person, they're the only one that knows the card that they're thinking of. They're thinking of a card. They're the only one. They haven't told anybody. The cards were all shuffled up. It could have been any one of 52. Hopefully it's not the 5 of hearts or the 3 of clubs. But they have a card in their mind, and nobody else knows what it is. And there's no way I could know what it is. Now, we shuffled the cards. Everybody shuffled them. One person shuffled. Everybody shuffled. You just cut the deck. And this is fascinating because the first card that was named outright was the 5 of hearts. And that's exactly where you cut to, right to the 5 of hearts. That's not where this ends, though. That's not where this ends, because the second card was the one that was pointed to from a full spread. Could have been any card, free open selection. And that one was the 3 of clubs, which is right where we cut to. Now, the last one is a little bit more difficult. We need to go back to the person that's thinking of their card. What I want you to do is I'm going to shuffle the cards, and I just want you to tell me when to stop. So go ahead and say stop anytime. Right there, say stop. And what was the card? For the first time, what was the card that you were thinking of? 9 of spades. So we have 3 revelations that are free agency. Free agency revelations. The performer does not reveal anything, right? The spectators are the ones that reveal 3 choices that apparently are completely free. Completely free. That is the sensation that you're trying to deliver in this moment. That we're striving for that kind of situation where someone says 2 of diamonds, and then they select a card from the deck that's been shuffled by them, and it's the 2 of diamonds. We're trying to create that kind of a sensation. We're trying to create that kind of atmosphere. And we're using some relatively accessible controls and open controls in order to get there. So one of these we already looked at in the last video, and that is what we're calling the a pseudo pressure force. It's not really a pressure force at all. It's merely just a Hindu shuffle, but it's put into the context of an overhand shuffle, something that's very recognizable for Western kind of card game players, people that shuffle cards, they shuffle overhand. And then the other one is merely a cut. So the cards have been shuffled by everybody, spread out, everybody's had their hands on it. They've been shuffled, assembled, shuffled again. They cut freely to a spot, and that's where they locate 2 cards. One that was thought of, another one that was pointed to, when the performer apparently has had very little control over the deck. So what's going on here? You should be able to piece this together knowing this channel, having seen the material that I talk about on here. I've got my fingerprints all over this. There are things going on here that I like to do, that you know I like to do. One of them is the spread call control. Very versatile, can be done openly. So the order, what's going on here? The order of events. The first thing we have is someone, as they're shuffling the deck, they name a card. They name a card freely. You just need to know what they're thinking about so that you can access it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that named card and we're going to add it to more procedure that gives us opportunity to steal it out and get control over it. So that's the whole point. If someone just named a card and then we had them cut to it, that would be amazing. What we want to do is get that person to feel like that's exactly what happened, even though there's a bunch of other things going on that actually need to be there in order to give us opportunity to pay off that revelation. Okay, so they name a card. Let's say, again, it's the 5 of hearts. They shuffled. Now when I have somebody point to any card in the deck, what I do is I spread, and obviously what I'm looking for is the 5 of hearts. Now, you may not think that this will fly well, but you have to remember they don't know what's going to happen. We've not revealed what is going to happen in this procedure, so there's no suggestion that I might be trying to gain access to anything. All we know is that they named a card. We don't know what's going to happen with it. Then we have someone else freely select, and you want to drive that home, that they can see the faces and they can freely select anything. They reach out and point. Now, if I see 5 of hearts, whatever was named, I want to cull it. I don't see it yet. Let's say they point to the King of Spades. What I want to do is, as they point to that, I want to cull that card. And I either have already culled 5 of hearts, so I'm culling the King of Spades on top of it, or I am culling the 5 of hearts second, which is the case here. So I get to the 5 of hearts as I'm pointing out that all the cards are different. This is a borrowed deck. There's only one King of Spades. I now have the first card on top of the second card. If it happens the other way, what I want to do is quickly thumb off 2 cards so I reverse their order so that I have the named card on top of the pointed card. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this. Hopefully you can track where I'm at. So right now I've got named card on top of freely, openly pointed card, selected card. And that's where I'm at. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break the deck up into some packets. Now one thing I might want to do is give a riffle shuffle retaining the top cards on the top. So I just hold those back. And this helps to muddle up the picture. All they know is that something was named, one card that was pointed to is somewhere in the middle, and I just did a riffle shuffle. Hard to tell where things are at now. It doesn't look like I have any control. But really everything that I need is on top right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thumb off only 2 cards and drop them at my spot. Then I'm going to thumb off a sizable packet, about a quarter of the deck, throw it over here. Another quarter of the deck, depending on the number of people you have. But one of these packets needs to be only 3. Only 3 cards. So I'm going to put one of these piles, and the more people you have, the better this is. But you have to remember the person that you're giving 3 cards to. So one person's getting only 3 cards to shuffle, someone else is getting another packet, and this person has 3. I have the 2 on top. Or more. I could run a bigger packet all the way down and then run it in reverse again to get them back to the top. That might be a way to do it. It's probably better if you do it this way with only 2 because of the control that we're going to do in a moment. Okay, so I've got packets. They're all shuffled. Let's just pretend everybody shuffled. The person with 3 cards, they're going to shuffle their 3 cards. They don't know what everybody else got. So they don't really question the situation. And you just casually say to them, and why don't you, after you're done shuffling, go ahead and peek a card in the middle. If there's 3 cards, there's only 1 card in the middle, right? And it's okay. It's okay. They shouldn't make an issue of that. If they do, say, that's all right. It doesn't matter. It's just a few cards. You just peek one in the middle, right? And what you're doing is giving them a direction to take a look at the card that ended up in the center of the 3. So they will peek that. In this case, it is the Jack of Hearts. And then they put that, you can say, put that back together. You want to pay attention to them and make sure they control everything right. If they change the order, you want to pay attention to what that is when it comes back to you after they've taken a peek. Okay, so we know that they've peeked the center card of these 3. I know what these 2 are right here, and these don't matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top cards, and I'm going to put them underneath, when I take the packets back, underneath the 3 cards from the person that peeked. And then I'm going to drop everything else on top of that. Now what I can do is I could do another riffle shuffle. I don't want to flash this bottom card. But I do another riffle shuffle because this is one of the pointed cards. Do a riffle shuffle retaining the bottom stock, which has the 2 cards that were selected freely at the beginning and then the one that's thought of, sandwiched between an extra card. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to thumb face up shuffle 1 card to the top. I just do it as if I'm shuffling the cards. If you want to do an optical shuffle like this or something and then end with a thumb, you can do that. In the example, I just thumbed 1 and nobody's going to notice that. Nobody's going to take note of it. Then you set the cards down and you go to another spectator, it doesn't matter who it is, maybe a 4th person, and say, what I need you to do is just verify that everything is really good and shuffled. Can you please cut the deck approximately halfway? Some people don't like to give that direction on the crisscross force. I think it's better for the illusion if you say just somewhere in the middle. And they'll try to cut it halfway. You say set it right there. And then you're going to perform the crisscross force by setting the what was the bottom now askew on the top, holding a break that apparently they created, but is actually the original top and the original bottom, which in our situation is the named card and the pointed card are now here. Okay, so that's our situation. You recap what's gone on, you do the revelation, you pick up, you say, you named a card freely, right? One that just came to your mind, and it was the 5 of Hearts, and that's where you cut. Now that's pretty amazing. And it doesn't matter if this gets flashed, actually, because this is an indifferent card. What we have here, though, is the peaked card is going to be next, okay? So you can peel this off. It doesn't matter if they see it, but you want to set this down on the table. Okay, set this down on the table, just put it out. But what's even more interesting is that the card that you pointed to is also at the place where you cut, which was the King of Spades. So that leaves one more very mysterious card. What I'm going to do, as we talked about in the last video, is I'm going to milk off the bottom card, the indifferent one, with the top, shuffle a few, drop this back on top, and now that sets me up for what should be the thought of card now in the bottom of the deck. Now all I need to do is milk this one off, shuffle on top, ask someone to tell me when to stop. They say stop. I set down the bottom packet. I turn the top packet over, and then I reveal that they stopped at the card that they were only thinking of from a deck that was shuffled multiple times by the spectators that I apparently had no control over. Now what we've done, if you think about this psychologically, is we conflated several different open choices. One is that someone freely named a card. Another one is that somebody freely pointed to a card from anywhere in the spread. And the other one is that from any group of the cards, they literally just peeked into it and picked one randomly, and they're the only ones that know what it is. It hasn't been called out, and it was not under the control of the performer really at any time, apparently. So that's what we've done. We've conflated all these things together. And your spectators should walk away thinking that, oh my goodness, these were the most fair selections ever done. This was the antithesis of a pick a card trick, right? Where card was taken out, chosen, potentially forced. All of this was completely fair, completely open. Not only that, but they know that they are the ones that revealed it, and the performer has done really nothing in the entire presentation. So a powerful and fairly accessible presentation on thought of card and free agency revelations. So a few more ideas there for you to consider that I've been kicking around. So good luck with that. Happy magicking.